we are in the QBO gym, and the QBO gym is a place where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do a whole month's worth of these on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's get into today's exercise, which is coming from our May Year 1 cardio section, where we really focus on those basic skills. At the top here is an animated video to give you a synopsis of what is going on in Craig's world this month. He is our fictitious business owner. Further down is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Below that are the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here is an optional area where after you have gone through all of the exercises in this section, you will unlock some sample marketing posts to share with everybody on LinkedIn what you have learned so far. So let's dive into today's exercise where we're going to practice recording a bill payment with a vendor credit. Go ahead and click on that link to have the exercise pulled up. I have it here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through our scenario. Craig also asked you to pay his bills. One of the fountains that Craig bought from Norton was cracked and unusable, so he destroyed it and got a vendor credit from Norton for its cost. You'll need to apply that credit before paying his outstanding bill. So let's see how to do this. You will need to be in the sample company to do this exercise. Now, if you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the link in the description. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left side of my screen. This is the dashboard and what it will look like once you have signed in. So let's get started with today's exercise. Craig did not specify which of his bills he wanted you to pay, nor which account he wanted you to use to pay them. When you ask him about this, he says that he just take care of the Norton bill. He's not sure how much he currently owes them after the vendor credit. If it's less than $50, you can go ahead and debit it from his credit checking account. If it's $50 or more, he'd like you to pay with his credit card, but don't go through Melio because they charge a fee. He says he'll call Julie Norton and give her his credit card number over the phone if that is the case. But before doing anything, you need to add the vendor credit. So to do that, we're going to click on the plus new button and then select vendor credit. The plus new button is on the top left corner of the screen. Click on that. And then under vendors, select vendor credit. Once it comes up for us, we're going to go ahead and fill it out. In the vendor field, we're going to select Norton Lumber and Building Materials. So click into that vendor field. You can either scroll down or you can start typing in their name. Once you find it, go ahead and select it. And their information is going to appear for you. Now, as a note here, this payment date, we would want to put it in whenever the credit was made in a real life scenario, but it defaults to today. So for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to leave it as is. Now, just like an expense transaction, you have to decide whether to use the category details grid or the item details grid. If Craig were receiving a simple dollar amount credit, you would use the category details grid. In our case, however, the credit is specific to a product. And since it is an inventory product, meaning that Craig tracks how much he has on hand at any time, using the item details grid has the added benefit of removing the item from inventory. So this is what we want to use. Now, since Craig destroyed it, the fountain can no longer be sold. If the fountain were damaged and still usable, we could handle this differently, but that's outside of the scope of this particular exercise. The details of inventory will be covered in a future issue of the QBO Gym, so check back for that one. So we're going to click on the arrow to open the item details grid. So currently the category details grid is open. You can click on the arrow to collapse that and then click on the arrow next to item details to open that one. So you're only seeing that particular grid. On the first line in the product service field, we're going to select rock fountain. So click into that box. You can either scroll, it is the second one listed here, or you can type it in. Once you find it, go ahead and select it, and all of the information for that rock fountain is going to appear for you. We have nothing left to do on this transaction, so we're going to go ahead and click on the green Save and Close button, which is on the bottom right corner of the screen. Now, there are multiple ways to record a bill payment and apply the vendor credit. We're going to look at two of those ways. So the first is to use the Pay Bills transaction. So to do that, we're going to click again on that plus new button and then select Pay Bills. So the plus new button on the top left corner of the screen, click on that, and then under Vendors, select Pay Bills. We are going to click on the checkbox next to Norton Lumber and Building Materials. So that is the second one listed right here. Go ahead and click on it. And you will notice that as soon as you do that, QBO has automatically applied the credit to the bill. That is that credit for that we just created, that vendor credit we just created. Now, at this point, you could proceed with paying. If you want to use Melio, which is QBO's integrated bill payment or payments, not bill payment, integrated payment system, you could select schedule payments online. But Craig said that he didn't want to use Melio if he owed more than $50. As you can see here, he owes $80. So you could click on the arrow in the green button to select Save and Close. But let's look at this another way to apply the credit. Let's go ahead and cancel out of this by clicking on cancel. It is behind my video screen on the bottom left corner of the screen. Go ahead and click on it once you see it. You're going to get this pop-up to ask if you want to leave without saving. Go ahead and click on the green yes button. Now let's look at the other way to pay the bill. Craig said that if he owed more than $50, he was going to call Julie Norton and give her his credit card number over the phone. This is similar to payment at the time of service, so we could use an expense transaction. An expense transaction is used when money has changed hands at that exact moment. So we're going to use that expense transaction since he paid for it over the phone. Click the plus new button once again and then select expense. The plus new button on the top left corner, click on that, and then under vendors, select expense. Now in the payee field, let's go ahead and select Norton Lumber and Building Materials. You can click the down arrow and either scroll or you can type in their name. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it. Now notice that both the bill and the vendor credit appear in the pop-up drawer right here on the right side. Just like billable expenses can be added to an invoice, which you can see more about this in the April Year 1 Strength Training section issue if you want to practice that. These can also be added to an expense. So let's click the Add All to move these into the expense or the bill payment. Note that by adding the bill turns this expense into a bill payment transaction, as I just mentioned. So he's paying for this with a credit card. So in the payment account field, we want to select MasterCard. That is this one right here. Click that down arrow and then select MasterCard. Notice that both the bill you are paying and the credit you are using are selected. The bill payment and the bill payment transaction reflects the resulting or $80 owed. Of course, if you are not paying the full $80 at this time, you could change the amount in the amount field. So I'm going to scroll down here. Here is that bill, that $205 bill that is currently selected. And then in this credit section is that vendor credit that we just created that is showing the credit of $125. And so the total amount is $205. And with the credit, it is showing that it is an $80 payment. Now, if we wanted to change the amount that was actually paid, if he didn't pay that $80, we could change it here in the amount field. You'll notice too that paying a bill in this way does not allow you to use Melio. So we are all good here. This is now the payment transaction is being saved here. So let's click on the green Save and Close button on the bottom right corner of the screen. And that has been saved. And that is how you create the vendor credit and then pay the outstanding bill. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We have finished the cardio section and we move on to the strength training section where we focus on journal entries. And I will see you in the next video.